Hey guys, today I wanted to do a video comparing the new Too Faced palettes to the old Too Faced palettes, and I have both here. I have the matte and the regular natural eyes. By old I mean the second version, so these two right here. The main problem that I had with the old ones is that I felt like they didn't really last that long throughout the day, and they were also really dry to the touch, I guess. And I heard that this one is a new formulation, which is why I thought it might be worth giving it a shot, because I did like the colors. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first one we'll be comparing is the regular natural eyes, and I have used these. I probably used the natural matte one a little bit more. I'm not really picky about packaging, so I know a lot of people are, but this package is a little bit bigger than the old one. It's kind of annoying to open, I found. I don't know why, like, you just can't I don't know, you can't lift it up, or at least I can't. I don't have nails, so I kind of have to like split it apart, if that makes sense. They have these really pretty designs on them. I don't know if you can see. They get ruined pretty quickly when you're using them, so it's kind of sad, but it's okay. One thing that I noticed is that it smells kind of like vanilla. It's not a bad scent, it's okay. They're definitely a lot creamier than the older ones. Another thing I noticed is that the regular Natural Eyes palette is more similar to the old Natural Eyes palette than the Natural Matte is to the old Natural Matte, I guess. That one has changed more so. So we'll go ahead and get started on these. Let's see. Can't really cover the mirror and show you both of them together. So that's kind of what they look like together. So we'll go ahead and get started on the swatches. So I'll start with the first row, the larger pots. I don't know what they are. The larger eyeshadows. So looking at them, I notice immediately that in the old Natural Eyes, there's one of the shades, Nudie, has changed in the newer one to Strip Poker. So I'll swatch them on my hand, kind of next to each other. That way you can see. So this one is the older Heaven, and this one is the newer Heaven. I think that the newer Heaven is a bit lighter and brighter than the old one. Let's see, I don't know if I can get it to focus. This is my very first video, so I am sorry if I'm obviously a noob. So this is the older Silk Teddy compared to the newer Silk Teddy. So I don't know if you can see that, but that's kind of what it looks like. Okay. I think the two shades are pretty comparable. The older one might be slightly brighter. So the next one, Nudie, has been changed to Strip Poker, and this is what Nudie looked like, and this is what Strip Poker looks like. So I think Strip Poker is definitely a lot lighter than it used to be. So I'm gonna apologize in advance because I have a really bad farmer's tan. I was working at the post office as a mail carrier for a little while, and I got really tan last summer, but only on my arms. And also I was wearing gloves because a lot of us wear gloves. It's easier to sort. I know this is really boring, but so my hands are a lot wider, and so is my wrist from my Fitbit. I tried to fix it using a self-tanner, and it only made it worse, and now the self-tanner is fading. I've never even used a self-tanner before, so probably not the best idea. Okay, so moving on, start doing the next row, Cashmere Bunny, Push-Up, and Honey Pot. We'll start with Cashmere Bunny, and it's the same thing on the newer palette. So this is the old Cashmere Bunny, and this is the new Cashmere Bunny. And I think they're pretty similar. I think the older one was a little bit darker, maybe. I do like the newer formula. It is a lot smoother to work with. Even feeling it now, it's a lot smoother. Okay, so the next one is Push Up, and this is the old Push Up and the new Push Up. So I think they're also pretty comparable. I think the newer one is a little darker, but they're pretty similar. This next one I used to really like, but I felt like it wasn't pigmented enough. I really like golds. Even though I'm, I guess, a little bit lighter complected, I'm relatively golden, but these ones always seemed a little bit lighter. It seemed darker on other people. So here is Honey Pot. That's the old one, and this one is the newer one. So I think it's definitely, I think it's a lot brighter or more pigmented, I guess, than the old one. A little bit darker too, but otherwise they're pretty similar. I don't know that this particular palette is worth getting if you already have the old one. I have noticed that the wear time is pretty similar to the older one, and that was one of my bigger issues with the two. Anyway, moving on, we'll start down this final row here, starting with Espresso. So this is the old one, and this is the new one. Also pretty comparable. I don't see too much of a difference on those. You know, I guess the newer Espresso is a lot warmer than the old one. It's probably not a big deal for most people, but I tend to find that warmer shades look better on me. A lot of cooler shades just look like gray, and they all tend to look gray on me, so there isn't very much, I don't know quite how to put this. I don't know, there isn't very much variation between cooler shades on me. They all look like various shades of gray, and it's just not good. Okay, moving on. Next color is Erotica. So this is the old Erotica, and this is the newer Erotica. And, sorry, again, pretty similar, maybe a tiny bit more pigmented, but pretty similar to the old one. Alright, moving on to our final shade, and that is Chocolate Martini. And again, same names, same shades for these. So this is the old one, and this is the new one. So that's what that looks like. I think the newer one is slightly warmer, but they look pretty similar. So do I think it's worth it to get the new Natural Eyes? If you have the old one and it works for you and it's not expired, then I would say it's probably not worth it. It's pretty similar. There are very few differences in the newer one than there is the older one. Now moving on to the matte palette. This one I think is definitely different than the old one. They completely did away with the shade Nudie. I tend to lean more towards matte colors than shimmery ones. I don't know why, but I feel like when I have shimmery stuff on my lid, my eyelashes kind of just blend in, and I cannot wear fake eyelashes. So I don't know why they just look so weird on me. I don't know if it's my eye shape or I really have no idea. Maybe I just suck at putting them on, but I can't do it. So when I wear shimmery shades, my eyelashes tend to get lost in the shimmer, and it just looks kind of grungy, but not in a good way. So I like matte colors more. So there are definitely differences in these ones. I'm going to show it to you upside down just because it's so hard to cover the mirror. So this is what they look like side by side. And you can see they totally did away with the shade Nudie. It's not a deal breaker for me. It didn't serve me any purpose really. Although I don't think the newer one does either. So if you look at the two, Lace Teddy has moved down to the same spot that Nudie was in, and they've added one in called Nude Goals, which is more of a cool toned pink, I guess. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get started on the swatches. Okay, so this one is Heaven. That's the old one. And this is the new one. The new one, again, is definitely lighter and a bit more pigmented. I think part of why the newer shades seem a little bit more pigmented is because they're creamier and easier to pick up. This is Lace Teddy on the older one, and this is Lace Teddy on the newer one. I think that it's a little bit lighter than it used to be. The newer one is a little bit lighter. They're probably equally pigmented. Okay, so there isn't a nudie in the newer one, but I will swatch it next to the new shade, even though they're completely different, just so that way you can see what you're getting instead. So this is Nudie, and this is Nude Goals. Totally different. I honestly don't even know. It looks different from Heaven, but I don't know that like on the eyes it would be that much different from Heaven. Maybe. Let's see. Maybe I'll swatch them. So in the new palette, this is Heaven. This is Nude Goals. So to me, they seem pretty similar. I guess Nude Goals is a cool tone alternative to Heaven. Okay, moving on. Second row in the palette. Cashmere Bunny was replaced with Less is More. So this is Cashmere Bunny, and this is Less is More. I think that Less is More is definitely more warm toned. They're pretty equally pigmented, but if you like a warmer tone, which I definitely do, even though they don't seem that different, trust me, they are definitely different when pulling a whole look together. But I'm one of those people who feels like I can't ever get enough different shades of brown. So some people think that like there's only so many shades of brown you can have, and I'm like, no, there are definitely a lot of different shades of brown you can have. Okay, moving on to the next one. Strapless was replaced with Cleavage, and this is Strapless, and this is cleavage. I think that the newer one is slightly more cool toned than the older one. I personally like the older shade better, but again, it's just your preference on whether or not you like warm or cool tones. Okay, so Honey Butter was replaced with the shade Au Naturel. Au Natural? Au Naturel. Okay, so this is, sorry, trying to let it dry. This one is Honey Butter, and this is Au Naturel. I think that they're pretty dang similar. The newer one might be a little bit lighter, but they look pretty darn close. Okay, now moving on to the final row, which is right here, not on that side. Sespresso was replaced with Sexpert. I don't know that I can say that on YouTube. I don't know. Okay, so this one is Sexpresso, and this one is Sexpert. And I definitely, sorry, I kind of messed up that swatch. I definitely feel like the newer one is lighter, which, even though it's warmer, I wish it was darker. So those are the two different shades that you get, or not two different, but that's from the old palette and that one's from the newer palette. I definitely prefer the old shade that they had there, or Sexpert to, I preferred Sexpresso to Sexpert because it gave you a little bit more depth when building colors like in your outer corner here. Okay, so moving on to the next shade, Risque versus Risky Biz. So this is the old one, Risque, and this is Risky Biz. I definitely feel like the newer one is more pigmented, and it's a lot warmer too. So I do prefer the newer shade to the older one. I couldn't ever use the older one, it just looked gray on me. Okay, finally, the last color in the palette. In the old palette it was Chocolate Chip, and in the new palette it is Hookup, and they're definitely different. So this is Chocolate Chip from the old palette, and this is Hookup in the new palette. So that's what they look like. I think that the newer one is a lot darker. I would say that it's more red toned, but I think it's just darker, so it kind of gives it the appearance of being more red toned. Okay, so those are the shade comparisons from the two palettes here. I do like the newer one better. Still isn't as long wearing as other eyeshadows are, but it's okay. I do like it a lot more, and I think that if you were to get one of the newer versions of these Too Faced Natural palettes, I would go with the matte because it's so much different. Well, not so much different, but it's definitely different. I don't feel like the regular Natural Eyes is that much different from the old one. The formula is different, but again, it's not that much longer wearing. And yeah, so I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please like and subscribe. If not, that's fine too. Leave any questions, comments down below, and hope to catch you in my next video. Bye!